Since its relocation, the 10th Mountain Division and Fort Drum Museum has given the community a chance to learn about the military history in the North Country.
Our goal here at the museum is to preserve the legacy and the heritage of both Fort Drum and the 10th Mountain Division, and then communicate that history both to the soldiers who work here as well as the civilians that occupy the surrounding area.
It was a concept that began in an unusual place.
The 10th Mountain Division Museum originally started in a bus depot back after 1985 when the division was reactivated. And it's grown over the years and to where it is today in an attempt to preserve the legacy of both the post and the division.
Not only can people visit the museum, private researchers can schedule time to do their own digging and discover unknown stories hidden away in its humble beginnings.
Well, the story of Fort Drum starts really back at the Battle of Sackett's Harbor and has grown all the way to the Pine Plains region that we occupy today, which is now commonly referred to as Fort Drum, but has seen several names: Pine Camp, Camp Drum, now Fort Drum. And the other story is the 10th Mountain Division, which got its start during World War II in the mountains of Colorado. Saw action in Italy and then finally was deactivated after World War II and then was reactivated in 1985 here in the North Country.
Some notable artifacts displayed include the M1904 machine gun, the M29 Weasel used in World War II, the coveted Rock of Somalia Award, and other artifacts.
This is the M1904 machine gun. This is the Colt copy of the Maxim machine gun, the first ever machine gun used in the world. The unique thing about this machine gun is that it was probably used by the 10th Cavalry, more commonly referred to as the Buffalo Soldiers, when they visited here in 1910. Buffalo Soldiers are unique throughout American history, and most people don't realize they served here in the Northeast. The 10th Cavalry came here from Vermont, and the 24th U.S. Infantry came here from Madison Barracks. At the time, the 24th and the 25th, the 9th and the 10th Cavalry were commonly referred to as the Buffalo Soldiers. This is the M29 Weasel developed by the 10th Mountain Division during World War II. It's basically a snow jeep designed to float over snow. This will go places that a person can't go while walking. Think of a jeep but wearing snowshoes. This piece is unique in that it was Italian manufactured. It's a mortar sight. Italian manufactured, used by the Germans. It was captured by a 10th Mountain Division soldier, Martin Weinberg, who then used it to shoot back at the Germans. After the World War II in Italy, the 10th Mountain Division had orders to return to the United States and then train to go to Japan. He kept it with him on his person and planned on using it to then shoot at the Japanese. This here is the original Pine Camp Military Reservation. This is the property that the Army started to buy in 1909 because they had outgrown Madison Barracks with things like the M1904 machine gun, bolt-action rifles, rifled artillery. So they came here to train. The next evolution was tanks, and the Army needed a much larger space to train for tanks. So they bought, using eminent domain, all of this property, which is now the current outline of Fort Drum. In December of 1992, the 10th Mountain Division was sent to Somalia on a humanitarian mission. Somalia was a failed nation and people were starving. Initially met as saviors, the mission then soon turned to a violent streak. Soldiers initially started to notice the things that were being thrown at them while they're on convoy. The rock reads, the coveted Rock of Somalia Award, presented to the windshield of Special Hank Othmar during an informal ceremony on Route 7 north of Mogadishu, 14 July 1993. A bit of dark humor from that time frame. Next to it is a piece of Super 6-1. It might not mean much to most people, but it is the radio call sign for the first helicopter shot down during the Battle of Mogadishu. Battle of Mogadishu, most people are commonly referred to it as Black Hawk Down. One of the oldest artifacts we have in the installation is a Clovis point dating back 13,500 years ago. And it was dated by our cultural resources archaeologist, Dr. Lori Rush. And you can hear, working with cultural resources, we tell the story of the first people that lived here.
The Fort Drum Cultural Resources Program has the mission of managing all historic preservation on Fort Drum. We manage over 108,000 acres, and our acreage is extremely highly sensitive for prehistoric archaeological sites. So we've had indigenous occupation here on Fort Drum land spanning over 13,000 years.
Visiting the museum is really traveling through history, starting 10,500 years ago, and then working your way through Battle of Sackett's Harbor, on through the story of the Lost Villages and the expansion in 1940, through what the 10th Mountain Division did during World War II, where you see the weapons used during the time and some of the tools of the trade, on into the modern day history that most of us are more familiar with, meeting soldiers out in the community.
Curious about what the museum has to offer? Visit their website for more history on Fort Drum and the 10th Mountain Division, as well as visiting hours.
One of the great things about this museum is that we're now located outside the fence of Fort Drum. We're still located on Fort Drum property, but we're located where the community can come visit us, which was a huge bonus of us moving to this location, as well as the fact we doubled in size. We can now tell double the story that we used to when we were located on post.
In Fort Drum for WPBS Weekly, I'm Luke Smith.